No, I played for the Edmonton Trappers.
Oh, you were with the Trappers. Crazy. When was
Yeah,
that?
95, worst year ever.
Hey, everybody, this is Greg Zahn.
This is Anthony Telford
You're listening to The Walk-Off with Scott Belford and Adam Mack.
Welcome to the Walk-Off. We're joined right now by former Major League pitcher. He spent time with the Baltimore Orioles. A lot of us know him from his time with the Montreal Expos. He is well entrenched these days in the coaching and player development side of things with UP17. Welcome to the show, Anthony Telford.
Hey, good morning. How's everybody doing?
Good, man. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really appreciate it. I do have a ton of questions here for you, but right before we hit record, you started talking about you were playing with the Edmonton Trappers in 95.
Yeah.
So let's start with that there. Terrible year, you said, because that was right after the strike, right?
Oh yeah, it was right after the strike. I got a major league invite with the Oakland A's to go to major league camp, and it was really rough that year getting an invite because of all the stuff that had gone on. So I signed with the A's, and as things would have it, they went with replacement guys, and I didn't even get to go to big league camp. They just sent me right to AAA. And that year in AAA, Edmonton did some kind of a renovation to the field, so we started the year on a 28-day road trip.
Oh.
So I had pitched in the International League several times, and I'd always heard stories about the Pacific Coast League and how the ball flies and all this stuff. So I got my first 5 starts in the PCL. It was Colorado Springs, Albuquerque, and Vegas. They're like the three of the worst places to pitch. And then I went to Vancouver, and I threw a complete game in Vancouver because the air was actually pretty good, and I got my curveball could move. And then pitched in a couple other places. But yeah, we went to Calgary. But Edmonton, man, 714 miles north of the border, man. It's so far away from everything.
It is. As someone who, I'm actually from northern Alberta, so I'm from a little town about 5 hours north of Edmonton, and yeah, we're up there. It is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. How did you spend your 2020, my man? You and the family staying sane?
Oh yeah, we're good. I don't know if it's because I'm hard-headed or what, but I just don't. We tried to take care of everything as business as usual. I just didn't subscribe to the fear and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And, I closed my shop. I have I'm part of a big training facility. We have a 25,000 square foot building.
Oh, wow.
As a matter of fact, quite a few of Toronto Blue Jays prospects and a couple big league guys have hit in there and been in there. It's just a few minutes from Dunedin, so I'm about 45 minutes from Dunedin. So if it's raining outside or something, or early, guys all come, big leaguers come and throw bullpens and hit and do all that stuff. It's 25,000 square feet. 12,000 of it is weightlifting, speed and strength and agility, and the other 25,000 we have 6 cages. Mine's the only pitching cage. We have Rapsodo, hit tracks, all the tech. We got everything in there. It's really good.
That's incredible. I know before the apocalypse hit, I was actually down and checked out Dunedin here at the end of February, beginning of March. With no minor league ball, have you managed to stay active on the player development side of things? Like, are you on Zoom a lot with guys, or can you be face to face?
Oh yeah. So what I do is I do private instruction. So I do the pitching for several different organizations. One of them right now is called TNXL. It's a homeschool type of a baseball program where the kids come, they do Florida virtual school for their studies, and then they work out all day. Like it's a dream come true for a kid that wants to play ball. So they're in the shop the whole time. I do all the pitching for them. I do a bunch of private instruction. I probably do between 50 and 60 kids a week on the private side.
You're staying busy, yeah.
I stay busy. So on the pro side, my deal with the pro guys, I don't know if I should say this over the TV or not, but I don't charge pro guys to come and pitch in my facility. The way I run it is they're more than welcome. I was a former pro, so I know how hard it is to find a quality place to throw. They have to tip my catcher. If there's a catcher, they got to get a guy a tip. If they don't tip them, their butt can't come back. So that's pretty much it. But this off season, since you guys are from Toronto, the Toronto Blue Jays have a really good prospect. His name's Nate Pearson.
Oh, I've been aware of Nate. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Nate's been with me since he was 14 years old. I was his first pitching coach. So I have Nate in here all the time, trying to keep him focused on what he's doing and all that. So really good kid. You guys are in a real treat for him. He's going to be really versatile for Toronto. He really he shined at the end of the year, started using his fastball more, and really had two really good innings against the Rays the other night. 5 strikeouts, nothing else. Just really dominant.
Yeah, he looked great. I know it's a big transition to go from starting to the bullpen. He dealt with it incredibly well. Is that something that when you're a pitcher, like, is it a different mindset? How do you go about it mentally?
Oh yeah. It's a different mindset. The kids these days, I was kidding with an old pitching coach friend of mine, who's the coordinator with the Oakland A's now. And his name's Gil Patterson. And I said, I called him one day and I said, "Hey, Gil, can I ask you a question?" He goes, "Yeah, sure." And I said, "Do these kids bring a backpack full of stuff to the park too? Because these kids, like when I was pitching, we showed up, we stretched a little bit and then we started throwing. These guys, they have massage guns, weighted balls that they do a plyo ball routine. They have body blade things that are, they take like 30 minutes just to get prepared to grab a baseball." So it's a different generation of kids, but they're very well prepared. They're very well conditioned. Now they just got to let them go out there and pitch a bunch of innings, and then they'll be good.
Well, I'm actually curious about that. I actually just read a book called The Arm. It's by MLB analyst Jeff Passan, and he kind of deep dives into what he calls the epidemic of Tommy John surgery and the difficulty of like rehabbing such an extensive injury. Is that something that you're focused on with your young guys?
Yes. Oh, yes. So it's very easy for somebody like me who's not a doctor to go ahead and point to a reason, if you want to call it. These kids do not stop playing. So you have growth plate issues in very young kids. I didn't even know we had growth plates. I didn't know what's a growth plate. How do you hurt a growth plate? What the heck is that? But apparently the tips of your bone are very soft. And as you grow, that softness can be fractured if you're in the middle of a growth spurt. It's easily cured. You just can't play. So, like right now it's first week of October and I still have guys throwing. I can't stand fall ball. So we call it fall ball down here, and there's a bunch of perfect game tournaments and everybody feels like they got to play fall ball. And certainly I continue to do pitching lessons through fall. I continue my guys to work out through fall, but they throw high leverage innings in the fall. They just do it all year. So there's never a rest, and they'll go all the way through October. And there's even some guys that are going to do tournaments and stuff in November. They never rest because in December, you got to start throwing to get ready for January for school.
Wow.
So these kids pitch, they're very young. These are little pumpkins. These are 10, 11, 12-year-old kids. They get into the travel ball scene and, their parents think that they're going to get scholarships because of their travel ball numbers. And it's just insane. It really bugs the piss out of me, to tell you the truth.
So overusage is definitely a reason why some of these young kids are experiencing injuries.
100%. When I was playing, if a guy had a Tommy John surgery, that was like, wow. 1 or 2 guys in the league a year, we're having a Tommy John surgery, and very few guys. Now I had shoulder surgery, but that was after, it's 1,200 innings or something like that in pro ball. You know what I mean? So if you pitch long enough, you're going to get hurt. But for a young kid, 13, 14 years old, 15 years old, to already have a scar on his elbow, it's just insane to me. Insane.
So obviously it's interesting because velocity has become such a high stock when it comes to pitching in the majors. Everyone's clocking the velocity. Is that something that you work on with your pitchers? Like, I know there's a ton of programs like weighted ball and long toss and half a dozen of them.
Well, here's the stink of it is velocity's necessary at certain levels, right? So of course you want a kid to be able to throw the ball hard. They're really attractive. Take Nate Pearson, for instance. When Nate was young, he threw the ball hard. I mean, for me, an average freshman fastball is between 65 and 75 miles an hour. 75 miles an hour being like, hey, this 14-year-old kid's throwing hard. 75 miles an hour. And it goes up 5 miles an hour per side each year. So 65 to 75 as a freshman, 70 to 80 as a sophomore. Your junior year, you're 75 to 85, somewhere right there. And your senior year, you're between 80 and 90. That 10-mile-an-hour window is a big difference between kids. So that's what I see in my shop. Now, everybody at the upper end of that is always more attractive, but you still have to throw the ball over the plate. Nate Pearson, after his freshman year, was 88 miles an hour. After his junior year, after his sophomore year, he was almost 90. So, I mean, that's gas. That's gas for a young kid. And so, of course, he's scouted. He's attractive. Everything's good. You guys just drafted another kid that I taught from the time he was 12 till he was 17. CJ Van Eck was just the second round draft pick for you guys this year. When CJ was young, I had him in high school. He was really good. At the end of his freshman year, he was throwing 80. By the time he was a senior in high school, he was throwing 91, 92. And he just threw really hard. Now, the problem is that everybody thinks that that's the only thing there is, and that's not it. You can be effective and be on the lower end of that. But velocity is sexy. And just on a side note, since I'm older, they don't throw harder now. They don't throw harder than we throw.
Right. You just weren't being clocked every pitch.
It was, well, there was two things. One, we weren't being clocked, but now the technology is so good. Like, for instance, me coming out of college, I was 88 to 91 miles an hour on the ray gun. The ray gun picks up the velocity of the ball about 10 feet from home plate.
Oh,
right. Now, they actually have a really good documentary on Netflix called Fastball. And they actually go through some of these computations. So now you're literally... I've
seen it. That's when they're clocking the pitch with the motorbike.
Yes. So now the Stackcast literally gets the pitch out of the hand. So when you see these high velocities, these are the high velocities out of the hand. We were getting clocked at the plate. So it's just, guys don't throw harder. I threw really hard coming out of college. And I was like, these guys, I got guys in a bullpen, and I got them on the Stalker 2 radar gun or the Rapsodo, and they're throwing bullpens at 93 miles an hour. And I'm like, geez, I don't think I ever could throw that hard in the pen. But it's just the technology has gotten so good that, these guys seem like they throw harder. I mean, Bob Gibson just passed away yesterday.
Yeah.
And you can't tell me that guy was one of the hardest throwers ever. You struck out 17 guys in the World Series. You don't throw 85. Striking out 17 guys in the World Series.
Yeah.
So yeah, the velocity is a bit of an epidemic. You're starting to see actually a few guys in the big leagues going back the other way, flying below radar. That 88, 87 mile an hour two-seamer. Baseball always has and always will have ebbs and flows. So Josh Donaldson a few years ago started talking about not hitting the ball on the ground, and they called it launch angle.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, you couldn't throw the ball down because the guys were going down and trying to hit it up in the air. And, well, pitchers just counter that with what? High four-seam fastballs. You want to swing, you want to create launch angle, I'm throwing the ball high in the zone. Now hitters are starting to get back up on top of that fastball. Garrett Cole gave up 22 homers or something like that.
Yeah.
98 miles an hour at the top of the zone, 22 bombs.
Wow. Well, it is interesting. It's funny you mention it. Like, that is something in the last 2-3 years that has been incredibly prevalent, is that high fastball has just been kind of reintroduced into the game.
Yeah, well, it's because the guys are focusing on trying to go down. So, I mean, listen, the cat and mouse game of pitching is going to never stop. So, when the guys start trying to get top hand, to get up on top of fastballs, you're going to see guys come in, fly below radar, and throw two-seamers all day long and go down. It's not going to stop. It's for me. It's the inexperience of guys coming out of college that never really have a background in the game, but now Major League Baseball hires those guys to do things inside the game. So it's interesting how it all flows. But at the end of the day, pitchers and hitters are going to throw the ball up, throw the ball down, swing up, swing down. I mean, it's never going to stop doing that.
No, for sure. And I'm actually really curious, because there is so much information out there now with analytics and metrics. And I mean, you see every catcher out there has his little cheat sheet, and for every guy, he knows exactly where it's going. So now I'm wondering, with it being that analytically driven, when you watch a pitcher shake off a pitch, like, obviously every catcher and pitcher duo has a plan when they're going after a hitter.
Yes.
What is it with so much data that the catcher literally has written on his wrist? What is it that a pitcher is seeing that's going to make him shake off a pitch?
It's not, it's his heart.
It's his heart.
So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, with all the numbers, the only guy out there that knows exactly how he feels is the guy on the bump. And so, no matter what the numbers are, you have to go with your heart. I'll tell you a great story. When I was in Montreal, Felipe Alou was my manager, and just a side note, one of the all-time greatest guys ever. For a couple of reasons. One, he liked me, which meant I liked him. You know what I mean? So when a manager likes you, when you spend 8 years in AAA and one guy wants you to play in the big leagues, you like that guy. You know what I mean? So I love Felipe, right? So I got all my big league innings pretty much under that guy. And he told me something when I was first in Montreal. He goes, "I'm going to give you my best imitation of him right now. Let me see." He go, sometimes a guy changed an approach, but the guy he never changed. A hitter never changed. He's going to be the same guy. And I said, okay, he's going to be the same guy. So I can't remember what year it is. I'm going to say it was 99-ish. There's a guy named Reggie Sanders, really good, again, quality guy, and a really good player, really athletic, fast. And he had a hole on the inside half of the plate. So like belt high in, he couldn't hit a ball. He couldn't hit that pitch with a boat oar. But if you threw him your best breaking ball down and away, he could waffle it. And I don't know if it was slider bat speed. I don't know if or what, but when I was in Montreal, we just pounded him. We pounded him when he was in Cincinnati. We pounded him when he was in Atlanta. And we go to Arizona. And I'll never forget, it was so funny. We go to Arizona, we go into the hitters meetings, and Felipe's doing the hitters meetings, and we got the advanced scout there. And they said, hey, listen, Reggie Sanders is hitting like 9 home runs in April. So Felipe said, I don't know what he's doing, but, I think he changed some things up. So we're going to start him soft, and we're going to throw the ball away from him. And I said, whoa. We're changing our approach. We've been killing that guy for 3 years. Like, why would we change our approach? You're the one that said hitters never change. And he goes, no, he looked like he's gonna be good. He going down and getting the fastball. He's getting to the fastball, he said. And I go, no, he's not getting to the fastball. Last night I saw him hit a home run on SportsCenter, and it was a slider middle down. So he goes, no, we're going to change. So I'm like, I'm just thinking in my head, like, I'm not changing. Now, let me premise this whole story by saying this. By that time, I was in my middle 30s, and I didn't throw as hard. I still threw 91, 92. I could jump it up there to 93 or 94, but I pretty much sat 91, 92, and I was known for having a good breaking ball.
Right.
So you're talking to the guy that probably was the softest throwing righty out of the pen. Me, okay? So we go in and play. Javier Vasquez starts the game, throws him a slider in the first inning, and he hit it out. And I'm sitting in the bullpen just biting my tongue in half, right? So I get in the game like seventh inning, I think it was, and I get Reggie Sanders up, and I just blow him up with three of my fastballs. So these aren't elite fastballs, as they would call them now. These are three of my fastballs, and I just torch him. I turned around to the dugout, and I'm like, hey, I told you, like you said, guys don't change. So in this game of cat and mouse, there's a lot of things that change, but everything's going to stay the same.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I mean, you bringing up Felipe Alou, I mean, obviously he's well known as maybe one of the best managers and one of the greatest coaches to ever play in the game here. Not everyone is interested in coaching, and I know that's a direction you have taken is coaching, player development. Is Felipe one of the guys that kind of inspired that turn, or if it wasn't, who or what was it kind of made you want to get into that aspect of the game?
Well, I'll tell you, for me, when I first got out of the game, I did not want to go back into the game. I just got done playing. It was my 17th spring training. I got released from the Houston Astros, and I just 38 years old, I took my ball and went home, as they say it. You know, I mean, I didn't want to, you know, you're too old to go to AAA, and you just, I had one guaranteed contract in 16 years. So you just get kind of wore out. And I didn't really want to go back into the game. I had two opportunities early to go and coach, and I turned them both down. I got a wife. I've been married to Christine for 32 years, going on 33 years. And I have a daughter that was actually born in Canada. Brittany was born when I played in Montreal, so I got a Canadian.
Yeah.
Actually, she just got married and she lives in Washington State, so she's really close to where you guys are.
Oh, excellent.
But I didn't want to travel, so the coaching. Two things: one, they don't pay coaches real well, and two, you're just never home. You end up being a victim of the circumstances, and you get stuck. And I have a lot of friends that went into coaching, and they've been coaching 12, 13 years in the minor leagues trying to get to the big leagues. And they all got furloughed with nothing.
Right.
Because of a situation. And it was pretty interesting. I actually interviewed with I got a call to interview with the New York Mets for the coordinator position. There's some people that in the Mets scouting department and stuff that gave me a recommendation, and I talked to the farm director, and I decided not to do the interview because I'm happy doing what I'm doing. Like, I don't want to go and travel 24 days a month. The player development side was a natural fit for me. I like mentoring kids. My son, who's just joined the United States Army, he's in Fort Benning right now. He's going to serve our country. I couldn't be prouder.
Congrats.
He never played baseball, so he's 5'9.5" and strong. He wrestled in high school and he shot competitive shotgun, and he never wanted to play. So I never had an outlet. Right. For this knowledge and the passion and all that stuff. And I really like it. It's a lot of fun. I've coached hundreds of guys over the last 10 years, in the private sector. And I coached for the Pirates one year. It was interesting. It's interesting coaching and being with guys. Listen, the things that never change, right? In uniform on a field, it's fantastic. To this day, it's just great. In uniform, in a dugout, on a field, watching guys compete, it's great. The camaraderie between coaches is very similar. to the camaraderie when you were a player, just the atmosphere, going to the ballpark every day. I mean, those are things that when you're a player or a former player, you never lose the desire to do that. Now, like today in Florida, it's raining. I'm going to go to my shop. I got probably, I don't know, how many lessons do I have today? Check real quick. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I got 12 kids today. I'll be done. I'm going to start at 2:00. I got a college kid at 2:00, and then I'll be done at 8:30. So it's really good for me. I love the development. I love watching kids. Last year, 16 of my seniors scholarshiped, which for me is,
wow.
If you're a dad and your son gets a scholarship, it's a great feeling, So that's where I get my satisfaction from just being around the kids. Listen, growing these kids up. I don't know how to put it. I mean, I don't have a stitch of pink in me. Not even a stitch. I don't care if it's October. I don't wear pink. So I'm kind of like a man's man type of deal. That's the way my father raised me, and I'm compassionate depending on the situation.
Yeah.
A lot of times in the shop, I'll tell a kid, listen, if I don't see blood squirting straight up into the air, get on the mound and do your stuff. Like you're not. I know the difference between being hurt and being a little sore from your first lift of the week. So I like to try and coach kids through all these different life circumstances and stuff like that. That's the player development side that I love to do.
That's very cool. I know, obviously from when you were playing to now, coaching has had to have changed with analytics and metrics and everything like that being such a big part of the game. What would you say the biggest difference is between the stuff that your pitching coach or your manager was telling you to what you're now preaching to these kids?
Wow, that's a really good question. I think, interestingly enough, the goals are the same. So like when I'm coaching a kid today, I'm like, hey, listen, keep the ball down in the zone with movement, control your off speed stuff, throw the ball in the zone, strikes. All the velocity in the world ain't going to help you if you throw the ball off the bull. If you're hitting the bull in Bull Durham all the time, and it's all the velocity is not going to help you if you don't throw the ball over the plate. So I think the goals are the same. I think the delivery is different. So now with analytics, say if I have the Rapsodo up, which I'm going to finish my certification for it this week, against my grain, right? Against my grain. But at 54 years old, you got to stay relevant. So I have to kind of keep up with some of this stuff. But let's say I'm on the Rapsodo with a kid and everybody wants to talk about spin rate. I'm not necessarily looking at that as much as I'm looking at angle of release and window. So I'm looking at where this kid's releasing the ball. The spin is somebody said it's almost physically impossible to increase your spin rate unless you use pine tar.
Right.
Okay. You can increase the spin rate a little bit by extending the stride, the finish, the release point. The longer you keep your hand on the ball, the better the ball is going to spin. And there's some little stuff, but it's really God's gift, right? It's just like having a good curveball. It's hard to get a kid who's not designed to throw a curveball to throw a curveball. He might be a 2-seam slider guy. So he might have to throw this way. Whereas I had a big curveball and a good 4-seam fastball. So you use a different delivery method to deliver the same message. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's funny because I know when I watch baseball, I always try and tell myself, don't be that traditional old man that refuses to accept any changes in the game.
Yeah.
But there are some major changes going on. I know as a Jays fan, we watched it firsthand in that first game of the wild card against the Tampa Bay Rays, right? Where they brought in Matt Shoemaker and he was already predetermined. He's going to pitch 2-3 innings. Doesn't matter how he's doing. And then he got pulled 34 pitches in.
Yep.
And this is the thing, right? You look at what they did and it worked. 1 run, 6 innings. But as a fan, I hated it. How do you feel about stuff like that?
I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of it.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. From being a reliever, let's take the Rays, for example, right? Everybody talks about how good the pitching is with the Tampa Bay Rays. Name me 2 guys on that team this year that were on that team 2 years ago. In the bullpen. That's exactly. So my point is, for as good as this new way is supposed to be, they're really boat racing guys, and you can't compete like that. Like I remember I had a nice stretch. I'm sure you guys have already looked at it, but I had a nice stretch in Montreal, and I threw every other day. I mean, one year literally threw 79 games, and I was up. I bet you I was up 15 other games I didn't go in. So, I as a reliever, that kind of pressure on you and those innings that you have to eat up, man, it's just, you can't do it a bunch of years in a row. So sure, from year to year, it looks good, but their turnover rate is unbelievable. I mean, the people in Tampa Bay here, we don't even know who anybody is. I couldn't tell you. I saw Pagan pitching for San Diego the other day. I didn't even know he was gone.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy cow. So that guy was really good for us, a really good staple in our bullpen. And as soon as they start to make a little money, or they want to move on, they just move on. So I don't like the way that they do it now. I like, and let me add this, executives won't tell you this, but players perform better with stability. When you know your role in the bullpen, you're going to be better. When there's just this bullpen by committee all the time and 10 guys are, I don't even know how many appearances I had in Montreal, 300, at least 300, right?
Yeah.
I got 8 saves. I pitched probably 90% of my innings after the 7th inning. So it was either 7th, 8th, or 9th inning. I pitched like, I guess I could pull it up, but I pitched 90% of my innings after the 6th, and I got 8 saves. So I knew my role. I knew what my role was going to be, to be an opener and throw 2 innings at the beginning of the game, and then your bullpen has to eat up all those. It's a recipe for success, unless you want to have the same guys every year. Then it's not.
I think they're going to hit a wall. I don't know. They've kind of created this system where bullpen pitchers have become disposable. And I mean, we just touched on it in that, after a year or two, who's in the bullpen, we don't know. They build a new bullpen every single year.
Right.
And I know, as someone who spent a lot of time as a relief pitcher, it must be infuriating to watch these guys just get tossed aside year after year after year.
Yeah, well, just for the fans out there, right? So we'll give them a little insight to the life. So I'm 54 years old. I got 5 years and 173 days, I think it is, in the big leagues. I just looked at my pension. If I had not gotten 5 years, right? Let's say I got 2 years, you don't have a pension. You don't make any money. So what ends up happening is, it's like anything else, right? The longer you're there, the better you are, and the more money you have a chance to make. But when they run through you like that, they cut off your chance at longevity. And if you don't play 3 years at the big league level in this game, you're not making any money. Even it took me 250 innings to make $500,000 at the big league level, right? So then after that, you start making some money. These poor kids, they might be making $500,000 a year, but they're only going to make it for 2 years, and then they're going to be done. You're going to take 50% of that out for taxes, especially kids that play in Canada. Ask me about Revenue Canada. I know them well.
Yeah.
But the Canadian social security system and all that stuff. So if you don't play 3 years and go to arbitration, you're not going to make any money. So with this design, I think some of it is designed so that the kids don't get there. so that they can save on that later. It makes perfect business sense, right?
Yeah.
If you can run a kid out there for the minimum and get the same result as you would from a guy making 3 times that, what are you going to do as a businessman? And so, I get it. I understand it, but I don't got to like it.
No, for sure. I'm curious about Montreal. What a unique baseball market to play in, especially when you were playing there. And just rumors constantly circulating about them leaving. How did that affect you as a player? Was that something that you just put your head down and played through, or did it actually get to you?
I played so much time in the minor leagues that I really, if nobody came to the game there, and oftentimes nobody did, I didn't care. I didn't need the fans to get up. I'm looking at McGuire and Sosa and Griffey and Bonds, and hey, listen, I didn't need motivation.
Yeah.
If we were playing Toronto and I saw Carlos Delgado or Joe Carter, listen, I didn't need motivation. I wanted to compete. My opinion on Montreal is it was a great baseball city that nobody went to the games, and now that they lost it, they kind of were like, shit, we lost.
We messed this up. Yeah.
We messed this up. Now, my opinion aside from that, and not just because it's Montreal, but I'll apply that opinion to here in Tampa, is if you lose a team, you should never get one back.
Right. No second chances.
Yeah, I was there. Okay, so 97, Pedro Martinez is in the middle of winning the Cy Young Award. On the night he struck out his 300th guy, there was like 8,000 people. So, you got a guy winning the Cy Young Award. I'm a reliever watching this guy just have this amazing season.
Yeah.
And our announced attendance every year I was there was 12,500. That was the season ticket holders. That was our announced attendance.
Yeah.
And, the bad part was, Montreal is such a beautiful city with so much history and all that. Now, there's some interesting folks there. French Canadians are interesting, but the people are beautiful people. For the most part, we really met some really wonderful people in Montreal. I loved it there. I would have played there forever. I'd have retired there because I was in the big leagues in a big league city. I didn't care if anybody went to the park or not.
Yeah.
I just was. I pitched almost 900 AAA innings. I was thankful to be in the big leagues. I was so pumped to go to the park every day.
Yeah.
It was, I'm being completely honest. I just was so pumped to be a reliever. The stuff that that was going on there, that was a side note to me. I'll tell you, Donald Fear told me something funny one time. I was the player rep there in 98. And he goes, Telly, I got good news and bad news. And I said, what's that, Donald? He said, the good news is, we're going to get you out of Montreal. He said, the bad news is we can't figure out how to let every other team in the league have 3 days there. So it was a wonderful city. The food was fantastic. To go out to dinner there was so fun because of the European influence. Playing in a cold 60,000 seat indoor stadium was great for me. I loved it. I signed autographs every day. I had a lot of fun. So I really don't have anything hugely negative. People, bitch and moan about the fans here in St. Pete. Hey, listen, the stadium's beautiful. I'm like, you have no idea how nice the stadium is here in St. Pete. It's beautiful. It's an easy drive. I live across the bridge, and it's a 30-minute drive for me to get from my door to the stadium.
Incredible.
30 minutes. I grew up in San Jose, California. We had to drive an hour to San Francisco or an hour to Oakland to watch a baseball game. I'm there in 30 minutes, and the traffic leaving the stadium is amazing. And the stadium is nice. They've updated it. It's a nice stadium. These people have no idea what they're complaining about. It's amazing.
This is going to come across as like a bitter AL East rival team fan here, but like it made me laugh this year all the games at Tropicana where they turn the noise way up, and I'm like, I think this is the loudest it's ever been at Tropicana.
Well, not only the loudest it's ever been, but it was the most populated with all the cardboard cutouts. They had as many cardboard cutouts as fans sometimes. They average 20,000 or something like that, 25,000. And they got, but it's if they lose a team here, first of all, they won't go back to Montreal. They won't split with Montreal because it's logistically impossible. That's a pipe dream. Oh. But if they lose a team here, man, they're going to be just like the people in Montreal. 5 years from now, they're going to be dying and screaming and, we'll build a park. We'll do this. We'll do that. They should just get it done now.
Yeah, they really should. It's vexing because the Rays constantly put quality on that field. It is mind-blowing what they do with the money that they're spending. And to watch nobody show up, it's crazy.
Well, the Rays have taken Billy Ball to a whole new level. If Billy Beane in Oakland could do what the Rays have done, because they do it and they're competing in the American League East.
Yeah.
And I mean, so, you got the Jays who always have great prospects. Yankees and I mean, holy cow, who in the American League East sucks? Baltimore, you can walk into Baltimore, they can put a good team on the field anytime, So I mean, just the American League East and what the Rays do with the money that they have is amazing. I remember, and let me tell you, as a player, something kind of funny. I remember one year when I was in Montreal, we had like an $18 million payroll, and Rondell White was making $4 million of it. And we're sitting there in spring training, and the general manager, Jim Beattie, came out and he said, gentlemen, he said, this year we're going to compete. And I looked around, I was like, we got to play the Braves and the Yankees. What are you talking about? So the first game of the season, and you got to forgive me, I can't remember who we played. I want to say for some reason we opened up with the National League Central, and the Braves, or maybe it was Philly. Maybe it was Philly and the Braves played the Mets. It was something like that. I can't remember. I'd have to go back in my book and look. But we lost and the Braves won. First day.
Yeah.
Pierre Arsenault, my bullpen catcher, walks up and slaps me on the back and goes, well, how's it feel to be mathematically eliminated after one game? We'll never catch the Braves. And we did it. They won I think that was their 13th or 14th in a row or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, what an incredible team franchise that was. 13 years in the playoffs in a row. That I don't know if that'll ever be done again. That's insane.
Oh my gosh. They had some horses, man.
Yeah.
It'll never be done. Baseball's changed to the point where those players won't stay in one place for 10 years. You got three horses like that all stay there for 10 years. It's amazing.
Yeah. Oh, unbelievable. That starting staff was just, again, maybe the best ever. If you're gonna go 1 through 5, 1 through 3, anyways, for sure. Anthony, this has been incredible. I don't want to keep you too long here. Honestly, thank you so much for joining us. Do you have a few more minutes? I know I've got some listener questions.
Yep. Bring the listener questions. I got all the time. I blocked out an hour for you guys. So we're good.
Amazing.
You want,
Thank
buddy.
you so much. All right. So this first one is from Sarah in Red Deer. It says, hey, Anthony, curious what it was like coaching Nate Pearson, and is his mental approach as impressive as his arm?
Yes. So he is a little on the information side. He likes all that information. Matter of fact, we're going to talk about that this offseason. But Toronto has a real jewel because not only is he 6'6", 250 with about a 12% body fat, he's a very, very, very hard worker, and he's a wonderful kid. This is a kid that Toronto, I don't know what's going to happen in his career, but you'll never read about him in the paper in a negative sense. If somebody's got something bad to say about Nate, I don't know where they are, and I would challenge them. He's a wonderful young man. Wonderful. One of my all-time favorites.
That's awesome. All right. Our next one is from Bradley in Kamloops. It says, what do you think about young pitchers with bad body language? And as a pitching coach, is that something that you try working on with them? And if so, how?
Yeah, punch him in the side of the head is what I like to do with him. No, I can't. No, we can't do that. But yes, bad body language is horrible, and I used to do that. It's a sign of immaturity, and it's a sign of competitiveness. So I tell kids the thing that's your biggest enemy is also usually your biggest asset.
Right.
And so when you got a kid with bad body language, that's because that kid really cares. He really cares about what he's doing. He wants to do good. You just have to learn how to funnel it. The best thing to do is take your phone, film that kid, film the body language, and then go, look, this is you, and make him watch it, because they have no idea what they do. Right. I just had that conversation with a high school kid the other day. I got a video of him pitching. He had a bad outing, and oh my God, his body language was so bad. He's just everything, every single pitch. And I showed him I sat him down and showed him the video. And I said, now, if I'm a scout, do I give money to that kid? Do I draft that kid? He goes, no. And I said, do I give that kid a scholarship to my school? And he goes, no. And I said, well, that's you. Like, that's you. Do you want to get drafted? Yes. Do you want to go to college for free? Yes. Then you got to knock that stuff off. I mean, so you have to be firm with them. If she has a son that is having that, simple, sit them down. Don't let them play. Hey, if you do that, here's what you're going to sit on the thing, and you're going to cheer your teammates for a game or whatever. But do not let that continue. It's bad, because it fosters, and then as they go through puberty, it gets worse. So you really want to start to curtail that. Never tell a kid not to show emotion. You can show emotion, you just can't act like a jackass. There's a big difference. I never tell a kid not to be emotional. I want kids emotional. I want them to care, but they can't show it with bad body language.
I love the film them advice.
Oh, yes.
I love that.
Oh, yes. Film them and let them see it, and they have no idea that's what they look like.
Yeah. All right. Our next one is from Jeff right here in Calgary. He says, do you have a favorite major league team, Anthony, or do you just observe and stay neutral?
Well, I cheer for the Rays. I grew up loving the Oakland A's. I'm from San Jose, California, so I grew up loving the Oakland A's. Strangely enough, my first big league start was against the Oakland A's. So, but now I root for the Rays, and you know what? I honestly just love watching good baseball. So there's a few teams I don't like. The Yankees are one, since I grew up in Oriole, and I'm an American League East guy and a National League East guy. I can't stand the Yankees.
Well, you're the first I've ever heard to say that.
Oh, okay. So, quick. Do you got time for a story?
Yeah, lay it on me, please.
Okay. First start in Yankee Stadium, my rookie year, 1990. Going through the minor leagues, the Yankees I never lost against any Yankees team at any level. So A-ball and AA, I beat the Yankees every start. And being an Oriole, that was a lot of fun to do. So fast forward, I get a start against the Yankees in Memorial Stadium, and I go like 6 2/3 or something like that. Kevin Moss and Matt Noakes hit back-to-back home runs off me in the 7th, and we lost. I think it was 2-1. So that was the first time I'd ever lost against a Yankees team. So fast forward to the end of the year, Frank Robinson calls me in the office. I started in A-ball. I went to AA. I was like 14-4 in the minor leagues. I got called up to the big leagues. I was 3-2 with like a 2.8 in my big league September-ish call up, late August, early September call up. And I threw the ball pretty well. I had maybe one bad start against the Seattle Mariners where I went like 4 or 5, but all the other starts were pretty solid. So Roland Heyman, the general manager, and Frank Robinson are back in Frank's office, and they call me in the office, and Frank goes, hey, kid, we're really proud of you, but we want you to go ahead and sit down. We're going to give some other guys the ball for the end of the year. You've pitched, a bunch of innings. And I argued with him, and I said, no way, I'm pitching against the Yankees in Yankee Stadium. They beat me last time, like I got to go beat them. And he goes, and so I get in this conversation with Frank freaking Robinson. And I'm 24-year-old kid and I won't shut my mouth, right? So Frank looks at Roland and goes, Roland, looks like the kid's not going to give the ball up. And he looks at me and goes, okay, we'll give you one more start. So just to you guys out there, if a Hall of Famer is telling you what to do, you freaking do it. You don't argue with them, okay? So we go into Yankee Stadium. We take the train from Baltimore to New York. So my wife, Christine, came. So we're all on the train. We get off the train. Now, I've never been to New York. I'm a California guy, right? So I'm this laid back California guy. And we go to New York City. So I get off the train and we're walking and we go to some taxi stand or something. And I'm just like, I'm looking to see what everybody's doing. That way I can do it, right? Look like a big leaguer. Got my trench coat on, got my little briefcase with all my stuff because that was fun back in the day. You had to get a briefcase. That's what you got, a briefcase. So I have my suit on and my trench coat and my briefcase, and my wife's with me, and I'm standing in line and I'm watching this guy like run out into the street, get a cab, and then come back. And I'm watching the guys, everybody's tipping the guy $5, $10, whatever it was. So the rookie in me, when they gave me my meal money envelope, I just grabbed the money, folded it, and put it in my money clip and put the clip in my wallet. Well, I had folded the money, large bills out. So I had like hundreds and 50, 100, couple of 50s, whatever the meal money was for the week. I can't remember how much it was, but it was probably a couple $100 in there, right? Which, by the way, was about half of my minor league pay for a month. So I had some cash. So we get to the cab and I go to look down and I pull my money clip out and I take it out. I take the bills out. And I look up and the guy's staring at me. And I go 100 and I go 50, whatever. So I'm trying to flip and get to a 5 or whatever.
Yeah.
And the guy looks at me, he looks down at my hand and he tries to snatch my money. He peeled out a 50 and he just took off running down the street. So I immediately start screaming at him. I'm chasing his ass down the street. I'm like, if I get my hands on this guy, I'm gonna rip his neck off. And he runs out into traffic and runs away. And everybody's screaming at me, yelling, "Don't chase him," whatever. And so 5 minutes in New York, I got robbed. Okay, we go to. I'm pitching that day. That's my day. I'm starting. We go to the hotel. I'm hot. People are looking at me on the street. I'm like, "What are you looking at?" I was so mad at everybody. So we go to the stadium. Blah, blah, blah. We do the warm up, all that. I'm in the bullpen warming up for my start against the New York Yankees, and I got hit in the head with a C battery. A C battery hit me in the head while I was pitching in the bullpen.
Someone threw it into the bullpen.
Somebody threw a battery at me and hit me in the head. It cut me. I got a little cut, little blood.
Oh.
So I'm like, it knocked my hat off. I'm like looking for my head. I'm like, what the hell? I pick up the battery. I look up. And the security guards in the stands are just waffling this guy that threw the battery at me. So I'm like, well, at least he's getting beat up for hitting me in the head with a battery. So now I got robbed.
Yeah.
I got hit in the head with not a little battery, a C battery.
Yeah.
C battery. And now I got to go pitch against the New York Yankees. So the first guy, Roberto Kelly, hits a homer. The next guy gets a hit. Don Mattingly gets a broken bat hit. I don't even know what happened. But there was 2 guys on in the first inning. I gave up 4 straight hits, and Frank Robinson took me out of the game. So I went from 3-2 with like a 2.8 to 3-3 with a 4.95 ERA for my audition. I'm sitting in the dugout in Yankee Stadium, wondering what just happened. And a guy named Mickey Weston, one of my very good friends, came in for relief, and the first pitch he threw got hit out. So they cashed all my runs. So no innings, 6 hits, 6 runs, all earned, no walks, no strikeouts was my last inning of 1990.
Oh my God.
So that's my Yankees. So when I say I don't like the Yankees, I got reason. Like, I don't freaking like the Yankees.
Yeah, well, I don't like the Yankees, and I don't even have any stories like that.
well, interestingly enough, a gentleman that I grew very, very close to just passed away 2.5 weeks ago. His name's Mark Newman. Mark Newman was the scouting supervisor, player personnel president for the New York Yankees for like 26 years. So he actually had an office in the shop that I'm at. So I got to see him every day, and I would walk in there and just talk to him. He was such a brilliant guy. And every day I'd be like, you got to quit wearing all that Yankee shit in here. And he goes, yeah, well, something about, I got all this stuff for free from all those years, so I'm going to wear it. So if my kids walk in with a Yankees hat on, I'm like, hey, seriously, are you even trying today?
I love it.
We have fun with it.
That's awesome. All right, my man. I've got one last listener question here for you before I let you go.
Right.
You all right?
Shoot.
All right.
Yep, good. Shoot.
It says, hey, Anthony, who is the best pitcher you have trained? And is there anyone you're currently working with that's undrafted that we should be keeping our eye out for?
Well, obviously, best one I've trained thus far, probably Nate Pearson. Although I did have Brady Singer in the shop this offseason and another guy named Jake Woodruff. There's probably 10 guys in the big leagues right now that I've had my hands on at some time. I think the one with the biggest upside is probably Nate. There is a kid that I'm training there's two kids that I'm training right now that are really good. I got a lefty at a high school called Jesuit here. His name's Jamie Arnold. He's a junior in high school. He's throwing 91 from the left side and just really, really good kid. And I got a sleeper. I got a kid over at Berkeley High School, and his name's JT Quinn. He's a 6'5" righty, very, very, very smooth, and he's going to throw the ball very hard. He's a junior also, and he's already throwing 90 also. So
wow,
the JT's the one to look for probably. I've had my hands on so many guys over the last 10 years that it would take us an hour. but Nate's probably the one that's the best that I've trained. Nate's the first person I trained from the cradle to the big leagues. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, he's the first one. So and again,
well, I know that question was from a Blue Jays fan, so that's the answer they wanted, anyways.
Yeah. They got what they wanted. So.
That's right, Anthony. Thank you so very much for joining us. Honestly, means a lot you taking the time to do this for us. Before I let you go, would you do one little splitter for us where you just say, hi, this is Anthony Telford. You're listening to The Walk-Off with Scott Belford and Adam Mack.
Scott Belford and Adam Mack. Yep. Hey, hi, guys. This is Anthony Telford. You're listening to The Walk-Off with Scott Belford and Adam Mack.
Awesome. Thank you so much, my man. Really appreciate it.
Hey, it was my pleasure. Please call me anytime. I'll be available, okay?
Oh, I appreciate that.
Love talking baseball with you guys.
Thanks
so much, this was great, man.